The prophet Isaiah stood in the royal court, his figure framed by the great marble pillars of Jerusalem's palace. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows, painting streaks of gold across the stone floor, yet the air was heavy, expectant. The murmurs of nobles and priests filled the hall, a restless sea of disbelief. Isaiah's voice, though old and weary, rose above them, trembling with divine fire. He spoke not of war, nor of kings, but of words, of a phrase that would one day echo through the nations like a trumpet before judgment. A time will come, he said, when the people shall speak a saying that denies their Maker. They will call it peace, they will call it light, yet it will bring darkness upon the earth. His tone struck the air like lightning. The crowd shifted uneasily, exchanging doubtful glances. A young scribe, mocking, stepped forward. Tell us, prophet, what phrase could undo kingdoms? Can mere words move heaven? Laughter rippled through the hall, even reaching the throne. Isaiah turned his sorrowful eyes toward the scribe. You laugh now, he said softly, but your children's children will repeat it. And when they do, the signs will appear in the heavens, and men shall wonder what they have awakened. He looked beyond them all, as though staring through time itself. It will sound holy, he continued. It will sound wise. But it will strip truth from the hearts of men. When they speak it as one voice across nations, know this, the age of pride has begun. His voice faltered, the weight of his vision pressing upon him. The crowd fell silent for a heartbeat before the king himself, half amused, waved a dismissive hand. Enough, he said. Let the old man rest. We have wars to win, not riddles to solve. And so Isaiah left the court that day, his words carried by the wind into the empty streets of Jerusalem. But his warning lingered in the scrolls, cryptic, untranslated, and forgotten. Centuries bled into centuries. Empires that once mocked the prophets crumbled into dust. Babylon, Persia, Rome all fell. The world changed, but prophecy endured, waiting for the right moment to rise again. In a dimly lit archive beneath the University of London, Professor Daniel Keene sat hunched over a table cluttered with ancient manuscripts. The air smelled of parchment and time. He had spent years tracing lost fragments of Isaiah's writings, long believed to be missing from canonical scripture. Tonight, under a flickering lamp, he carefully unrolled a brittle piece of sheepskin, its ink faded yet legible. His eyes widened. The script was ancient Hebrew, Isaiah's hand itself, unmistakable. But these words, they weren't found in any known translation. He whispered as he read, "They shall speak it, and when they do, the heavens will mourn." The phrase froze him. He felt a chill, as though the parchment itself breathed. Hours passed. The city outside glowed with screens and headlights, a civilization bursting with self-assurance. Daniel rubbed his temples and muttered, "Say what? What phrase could cause the heavens to mourn?" He searched the text again, but the line was incomplete, torn away by time. That very night, across the world, a global broadcast began. A summit of world leaders stood beneath a giant emblem, illuminated by golden light. They spoke of unity, of human progress, of an age of self-enlightenment. Daniel barely looked up until one of them, smiling proudly, raised his hand and declared, "It is time for the world to believe we are our own light." Daniel froze. The words hit him like thunder. His breath caught in his throat. He turned back to the scroll, rereading Isaiah's warning. His hands trembled as realization struck him. The missing phrase had just been spoken before all nations, exactly as the prophet had foretold, and for the first time in his life, Daniel understood why the heavens would mourn that night. London's sky turned crimson. Not the gentle glow of dusk, but a deep, unnatural red that pulsed like a living heartbeat above the city. The news anchors called it a rare atmospheric phenomenon. Scientists spoke of solar flares and magnetic storms, yet none could explain the faint sound that followed, a low hum, almost mournful, that seemed to echo from the heavens themselves. Professor Daniel Keene didn't sleep. He sat by his window, staring upward, the prophet's words running through his mind over and over. They shall speak it, and the heavens will mourn. He knew this was no coincidence. He had studied Isaiah his entire life, but never had he felt the scriptures come alive so violently. The next morning, Daniel walked into the university with the scroll hidden inside his briefcase. Students whispered about the red sky. Phones buzzed with videos from around the world, the same crimson clouds seen above Tokyo, Jerusalem, and New York. Something global had begun. He printed copies of his translation and met his colleague, Dr. Morgan Reed, a skeptic but loyal friend. "You have to see this," Daniel said, spreading the papers across the desk. Isaiah didn't just speak about a coming kingdom, he foresaw this very phrase. "We are our own light." He wrote that when humanity declares this truth, the true light will be withdrawn. Morgan frowned. "You're saying a prophecy written 2,700 years ago predicted a modern slogan?" Daniel looked up at him, eyes filled with desperation. "Not a slogan. A spiritual shift. The final act of pride, when mankind replaces the Creator with his own reflection." Days turned to weeks. The phrase became the heartbeat of the world. It appeared on billboards, in advertisements, on school walls. World leaders ended their speeches with it. Pop songs used it as a chorus. Even religious institutions began weaving it into prayers, claiming it symbolized the divine spark within humanity. At first, the world seemed brighter. Wars slowed. People smiled more. A new global movement arose, calling itself the Light Collective. They promised a unified future, free from division, faith, or fear. But beneath the glow of progress, something strange was happening. Animals began acting erratically, migrating out of season, abandoning their young. The oceans reflected the sky's unnatural hue at night. People started reporting dreams filled with blinding light that turned suddenly to darkness. And in those dreams, they heard a voice whispering the same words Isaiah had warned of: "You are your own light, you no longer need me." Daniel published his findings in an online journal, warning that the phrase was more than metaphor, it was invocation. "It summons a belief that dethrones the divine," he wrote. "And in doing so, it opens the door to something else, something that waits for the moment man forgets who gave him breath." But his warnings went unheard. He was mocked, dismissed, even banned from speaking publicly after the article went viral for the wrong reasons. People called him a fearmonger, a relic from the past clinging to superstition. Then, one morning, the light changed. It was subtle at first, a dimming that no one could explain. Sunrises came later, sunsets earlier. The world grew colder by degrees. Global news networks panicked. Scientists insisted the sun was stable, but something unseen was veiling its light. Daniel stood in the ruins of his university office, staring out the window. The sky was no longer red, it was dark, starless, endless. The power grid failed moments later, leaving the city in complete silence. He remembered Isaiah's final words from the torn fragment, words he had only partially translated before the ink vanished with age: "When man becomes his own light, the heavens shall turn their face away." Tears filled his eyes as the truth sank in. This wasn't punishment, it was consequence. Humanity had declared independence from heaven, and heaven had obliged. Across the world, the last flickers of artificial light began to die, cities fading into shadow one by one. In the stillness, Daniel whispered to himself, "The light of the world has gone out, not by war, nor by fire, but by pride." Outside, the darkness deepened, vast, absolute, and final. And from within it, faintly, came the sound of the heavens weeping.